Good morning, afternoon, or evening, wherever you have found the time for me and my ramblings. Thank you very much. I swear it was spring a few days ago, and I was getting a tan and everything. And now, while I sit here and finish this edit, I'm looking out the window. The wind is howling, and I'm pretty convinced all the plants I planted over the weekend are going to die. However, I did see a quote which I really liked and wanted to share with the podcast before it starts. I can't remember who shared it, but the quote goes like this: "Spring exists to remind us that everything can begin again." And I think that is especially important if you are currently midway through a sporting season and it's not going your way right now. There is still time to begin again. Oh my God, my spelling of again is terrible. With the brighter mornings. So give it time and it's going to be all right. Anyway, welcome back to another episode of Only Dead Fish Go With The Flow. This week's episode is with the lovely Milly Pickles, and we will be chatting through a variety of topics. I've got a few headings here for you. So running with a prosthetic limb, societal perceptions of disability, accessibility, challenges and costs, representation of disabled athletes, and mental resilience and community support. So I hope you do really enjoy the episode. And if you're not following the podcast account already, please get on and do it, because it gives me a little ego boost every time I see that lovely little number go up. So without further ado, welcome to your weekly reminder that only dead fish go with the flow. This week, I am talking to the first person that I've spoken to all day, so be prepared for a bit of word vomit, because all I've been talking to is the dog for today. We have Milly Pickles online with us. Milly, I'm not really sure what sort of umbrella to put you under.
So what I will say is I do a lot of different things. So I'm a content creator, disability advocate. I do a lot of public speaking and presenting. So I just follow where my heart goes and have fun and do it along the way. So that's my sort of vibe.
I think that's the best thing. Would you like to sort of name and explain what you do, aside from following your heart? You do a lot of running, and that is kind of, I guess, when I look at your social media, that's where I kind of put you as your sport is running. So would you like to sort of tell us about that and how you got into it?
So I've always been really sporty since I was a child and love running. And when I lost my leg, I very much didn't know if I could run again or even walk. I nearly lost both my legs right at the top after an accident. So I just was like, oh my God, I get to run again when I found out I could get a running blade. And it was just everything that I wanted to do. So I found it really exciting that I could, like, I knew how it was to run with two human legs, and now I get to learn to run with a running blade. So I just set that as my challenge, really. And I decided to run 100-meter sprints because I wanted to get to the Paralympics. And then I trained consistently for 2 years, and I was always an 800 meters, like a long distance sort of gal. So the fact that I said 100 meters was only because I lost my leg and I thought I'll try something new. And the long distance, I needed it. I needed it in my life. So I then went on to run 2 marathons because I was like, 100 meters is not enough. I need to go for the long distance. So yeah, it's been pretty epic learning to run with a running blade and achieving something monumental like that. And so I just shared my journey online of me running, which is pretty
I was
cool.
going to say, because when did you, I've actually seen one of your reels, like prior to us being connected, and it was you doing the London Marathon and basically being like, had this big plan, it was all going really well, and then you were getting like really bad pain in your like blade leg, and that you had to stop and like check in with the medical tent. And I feel like, was that last year?
No, that one was the year before, but I did run London
So
Marathon
yeah,
again last year. But
I
honestly,
saw that.
yeah, I love it. Honestly, it's been a whirlwind because when I was training, before I decided to do a marathon, I'd run 3 kilometers in total. So it was a big jump. And I started training like 9 months before. And then the longest distance I ran before the marathon was a half. And that put me in a wheelchair for 3 weeks because my body just broke down. Like it's tough when mentally I'm very strong and I know that I'm capable of doing things, but then my disability, my body isn't able to match my mind. So that's where that imbalance comes from. So I actually had no idea when going into London Marathon that could do it, but I just thought I'm going to give it a go. So that's when I got like, to be fair, during London Marathon, I got to 33 kilometers
Yeah, I
running
remember like the
constantly.
reel, and it was like
Mm,
did really, really well. And I think at the time maybe I was doing some running as well, like nothing like that. I was like doing a 5 at 5, 5K at 5. And
it's all relative. That's just as good. Sometimes I struggle with 2 meters, let alone
but I
5K.
remember
So,
seeing the reel and I was like, oh my God, if she's doing this, I can definitely like get on my little stompers and go for a plot.
oh. It's mad though, because I couldn't believe that I got to that distance. Um, and I was like on track for like 5 hours or something. I thought, oh my God. I think, to be honest, the crowd and the energy on the day really carried me through, because wow, it makes everything feel so much more enjoyable and easier, even though I was in a lot of pain because I kept looking down at my foot and my whole shoe was bleeding, because I have 3 toes on my human foot. And then obviously I don't have another foot, just my running blade. So I was in a lot of pain. And then that's when I went to the medical tent and they were like quite freaked out and said that I shouldn't run, I should stop. And I just refused. I was like, I'm going to walk the rest. So that's what I did. So I think I got like, I think it was either under 8 hours or under 7 hours. I can't really remember. It was a long time, but I had the best time. I was like, I don't
Mm.
care as long as I finish. And that's what I did. So I'm glad you saw the vid.
Yeah, no, I did. Because a friend of mine, Alex, put us in touch with each other, and I was like, I swear I've seen this girl before. Where have I seen you? And then I like looked on your social media. I was like, I saw that
That's
video.
so funny.
It's a
That's
really
jokes.
weird full circle moment that I've been having a few times with some guests who've been on. So like the very
Yeah.
first episode I did in May of last year, I was talking about sports bras and like the importance of making sure you had something that fit you properly, because if you and your twin did a marathon and you had one that was like supporting your boobs really well and your twin had one that was like letting everything slide around, you'd finish a mile ahead of your twin, sort of thing, because it adjusts your gait so much.
That's
And
crazy.
I know, and we were referencing me and Lola, who were on the work of Tess Howard, and then fast forward to about 2 weeks ago, we had Tess Howard on the podcast, and I was like,
Oh my
"How
God.
wild!"
See, this is
Like,
the thing. I think the
you never
universe is
know.
like, yeah, like the universe is crazy. I think things are always meant to happen. And like that, you can't say that's a coincidence. Like,
Mm.
that is crazy.
What is it, like invisible string theory or something, where you like pull a string and you just see if it comes back and the web of the world like comes around. I'm starting to
Honestly,
sound really woo woo.
no,
You
no,
can
I
tell I've
completely
not
agree.
spoken to anyone all day.
No, but I agree with you. Like, things happen. I'm like, there's no way. There's no way. It's mad.
There is no way. Would you like to sort of convert me? Tell me about the best and the worst parts of running, I guess, for
Oh,
you.
the best and the worst. Um, so I'll start with the worst.
Oh yeah.
So the other day, I don't know if you saw it on my socials, but I was running and I was actually having the best time. I was there, I was with my boyfriend, and I was like, oh my God, I'm loving this pace. And then I was like, look, our legs are in sync. And then bang, literally within seconds, my leg flew off and I fell to the floor and I was like, where the hell is my leg? And like, I really hurt myself. Um, so it's not ideal that when I'm running, that my leg will just fly off. And it turns out that the blade was cracking and the liners didn't fit me, and there was a whole load of issues, which then stopped me from running for a few weeks because I had to get that fixed. So I think it was rubbish because it was obviously not the best experience, and it stopped me from actually running.
Mm.
But when I do look back at it now, I do think it's just really funny, and I just laugh at the fact that that happened.
You have a giggle. Have you had to have
Yeah.
that blade fixed, or have you? I think I've seen you've got a new one. So have you just like that one's gone into the trash, or are you like, I might need it. I'm going to tape it up with everything I own and then just save it for a rainy day.
Oh no, like I have to get rid of it because if
Oh,
it was essentially starting to crack. So if I do it anymore, go on it anymore, it will crack, and which is just the last thing you want. But the thing is, those legs, they cost like minimum of 12 grand. And you can't just like get a new one. You can't just like fix it. You have to get a new one.
mm.
So it is expensive. So that's also another bad thing, that people say running's accessible, but it is not for disabled people because it's so expensive. Um, So that's not fun.
I was going to say, I'm such a hoarder. That's the sort of thing where I'd be like, I'll just keep it just in
Put a
case. And then,
plaster
like,
on it.
yeah, I'll put some K tape round it and I'll just keep it in my bag of things just in case. Like, what if someone else needs one? Like, what if I want to use it, or like just for memes or something like that? But yes,
To be
you're maybe a
fair,
bit more sensible than me.
no, the first leg I ever had, I kept it for like 6 years because I was like, "No, this is my baby. It's my first one." And then I was like, "Why am I keeping this? It's just sitting in a cupboard. Like I'm never going to need it." But I know what you mean. It's quite a sentimental thing because it's also, in a way, the blade showcases my journey, which is lovely. So maybe I should ask for it back.
Yeah, maybe you should have a wall instead of like a walk-in wardrobe. You've got like a wall of blades.
They could be like my artwork. Kind of regretting
Mm.
that I've not kept them all now.
Sorry, I'm just throwing ideas at you now.
No, I love ideas. I love them.
Like, welcome to my wall of blades.
Like the Milly Museum.
The Millie Museum.
I love it.
I love it. What would
Oh, I
you
should probably
say?
say the best.
I was going to say, what
Sorry.
would you say the
Yeah,
best part is?
because I've just focused on the worst. I promise running is good. The best part, I think, is well, it's weird because sometimes I really enjoy the run. Sometimes I hate it. I love it when I'm loving it. I love it when I love. I love it when I'm really enjoying it. But it is just like being outside in nature. Like sometimes I run on a treadmill and being outside just hits differently. I just feel like connecting to nature and just being outside. It just shakes off your cobwebs. It makes me feel good. And especially once you've gone on to do something like me running a marathon, or even sometimes it's just a 5K, it feels like hell. And I'm so proud that I did that and pushed myself to do that. It just makes me feel really happy. And then I go out for some food and it's just a lovely experience. It's just, I feel like nothing else is like running. Like I love gymming, but it's not the same.
I I think when I saw your reel like 2 years ago, I'd finished rowing my sport and I was like trying to get to grips with what my new world looked like. And running became like a really important thing for me because I felt like I could almost like run away from my problems. Like if I had like the
Yeah.
basic fitness to do a 5K or a run or jog or something like that, then I was like, could be kind of free from
Mm.
this box that RA or rheumatoid arthritis was like starting to put me into. And like, fast forward, I'm not able to run at the moment, but that is like a goal that I want to get back to, is being able to plod out for a 5K, get a coffee and a pastry afterwards.
Yeah, yeah. And you'll absolutely get there. Maybe
Mm,
like the goal 5K, but just focus on each day because that's literally all I've done. Just focus
yeah.
on what you can do. And like I'm running every day at the moment and I'm so privileged. I understand how privileged I am to even I was about to say to even be able to do that, but I can't even do that because I literally haven't been able to walk this week. There's been many times I haven't. So I go out on my wheelchair and it's just about adapting and doing things in the way that you can. So, you can't run at the moment, but is there a wheelchair that you could use? Because it does feel the same to me. Like wheelchair running, racing is blooming hard work. It's so tiring, but you're doing the similar thing. So there's always a way. It's just focus on what you can do.
I spoke to you a few weeks ago, Marina, and
Mm.
she's really into hand cycling, and she was like, hand cycling for me is like being a dog with my head out the window and my tongue's hanging out because I'm going so fast. I'm just like fucking loving it. And I was like, oh, that is just the best description of enjoying your sport, when you're like
Yeah,
going fast enough that you feel like a dog with your head out the
I really understand what she means, though.
window.
That's such a brilliant example.
Yeah, she was absolutely lovely. Do you have a sporting ick that you would like to share with the world?
I think it's myself, if I'm honest. I'm my own ick. Um, I I literally, because of my leg gets very sweaty, and in order to put my leg on, I have to wear a liner, then the leg, then an outer liner. And oh my God, the inner liner, I take it off and it's literally like a swimming pool and it is disgusting. Um and I literally that's part there's many reasons why my leg falls off, but that's also one of them, because it just doesn't want to stay on because it gets that sweaty. So it's a very niche running sporting ick, but it is myself. Which is why when I get back from a run, I sit there and I take my liner off and I have to put a tea towel underneath my leg because otherwise it will just go everywhere.
This is why we're doing the podcast. We're collecting stories. We're collecting this lovely information about the nitty-gritty. This is the stuff people want to know.
Of course. Like, to
Of
be honest,
course.
this is like the more stuff that people wouldn't necessarily normally talk about.
Well,
So
like,
it's showing the realities.
exactly. It's like stuff people wouldn't necessarily talk about, and also like, having a giggle and making a situation feel more human and more like, oh yeah, obviously that would happen. Like, mop, please. Clean up in aisle kitchen.
I wish I could do that and had a tannoy. That'd be lovely.
Excuse me, can I get mop, please? Like when we were training, like obviously we would just drip so much. I used to wear like, oh God, I gave myself like repetitive strain injury in my wrists or fingers or something at one point, and it was because my hands were sweating too much. I couldn't like hold on to the handles, so I had to wear had a special handle for a bit, and everyone like took the piss out of me, like try little wrist warmers to like catch all the sweat. It's disgusting. It's just one of those things.
Yeah.
Just
Thing
gotta
is, it
get on with
happens
it.
to all of us. So
Yeah.
I guess that makes it somewhat better.
Yeah, just in different ways. In different
Yeah.
ways. We have our dying on the hill section, which I know we'd made some notes about. But would you be happy to introduce your dying on the hill for this week?
So, I mean, I feel like I've got loads, but the main one that I think about is, obviously I'm disabled. I struggle with a lot. I get in a lot of pain, but I'm somebody that loves to achieve. So the more I push myself to achieve, the more I get treated like I'm not disabled enough. And it's funny because I'm already in so much pain, but me pushing myself to run a marathon, for example, puts me in even more pain, and I struggle and I need my wheelchair even more. But because people see this glorified thing that I've done, it's like you aren't as deserving. So then it makes you like, essentially means you have to be unfit and not active and not strive for anything in order to get what you need as a disabled person. So you're just stuck in a life where you're not pushing yourself or not living, which I think is just so backwards.
Mm. We spoke about this briefly on the phone when we had a little chat, which was supposed to be
Little
45
chinwag.
minutes and ended up being like an hour and a half. But I was thinking about this after the phone call, and Frankie Allen, who came on the podcast a while back, she was saying that her sister, I think, is doing a master's, and one of the topics that came up was like representation of disability, and out of like 20 Disney films that had been released in the 90s or whatever, 18 of them, I'm gonna have to double check this, but I think it was like 18 of them showed disability as like a negative, or like
Oh, wow.
very old, or like a villain, or like you almost had to look a certain way to have a disability, as opposed to showing it in a positive light. And it's like kind of not quite what you're saying, but it's like runs in a parallel. It's like I either have to look or be a certain way in order to receive the support I need, or the more active I get, like the less people actually have the time to come and give the support or give me what I need, basically.
Yeah, 100%. But also lately, I've been talking more about this on socials, and the comments that I get have been a bit crazy. But I'll get onto that in a sec. But I also, like the other day, I have it all the time, but the other day, someone came over to me and said that I wasn't allowed to park in the blue badge parking space that I very much need. And I just had no energy for him that day, and I just didn't even say anything. I just lifted up my leg and showed him that I had a prosthetic leg. Now, I don't need to do that, but I just thought, can't bother to say anything. And I always think about people with invisible disabilities that can't do that. So I like to do it to be like, you're never going to ask that question again, sort of thing. But
Yeah.
he instantly, after I showed my leg, his jaw dropped to the floor, and I thought it was really comical. Like, he literally looked like a child that had been told off because he was just in such disbelief. And then he said, "Oh, but you're so fit and healthy." And I just instantly thought, well, you basically just told me
Yeah.
that you think to be disabled, you have to be unfit and unhealthy. And people always assume that you're old. Like disabled, it's not you're old. People always assume that disabled people are old, unfit, or ugly, or whatever it is. And it's just so incorrect. And it really winds me up. It's
Mm.
just, there's such, and that probably could be due to TV programs, for example. Not many people have met other disabled people in their lifetime. Like I'd never seen an amputee in my life before I became one. So if all they've got to go off is TV and they think that it's a bad thing and that's what they're being told, then understandably they're going to believe that, but it's just so wrong.
It's so backward. It's
Yeah.
like, no, that's not part of the like criteria actually to have a disability. I didn't actually check any of those boxes. I just got mine
Yeah.
for free. I skipped the queue. But we had when we were training at Caversham, they train with the para team, like that everyone uses the same base. And that's like really fun and sort of meeting athletes with disabilities and like it's just like a very normalized thing. One of my favorite parts of this was one of the guys who was blind. He had his guide dog with him,
Mm.
and I don't know if before you've like warmed up, like when you warm up for a run, or if you ever use like tennis balls to like help release muscles and stuff like that. But in this gym, there are so many like foam rollers, tennis balls, all for like athlete mobility. This poor guide dog like came in and he was just losing his fucking mind because there was just
Oh.
tennis balls everywhere. And we were all just like, obviously, a load of athletes are sort of like cooped up doing the same thing every day, blah, blah, blah. And they like see this dog and we're like, oh my gosh, it's so nice to see the dog. And the dog's like
Yeah,
losing
yeah,
his
yeah.
mind over. So we had to all respect that the dog was at work and stop
Yeah.
showing him the tennis balls and stop being dickheads. But everyone was like so good humoured about it. And yeah, I
I know
doesn't
what you
really
mean though.
fall
It's
into.
like, it's one of those difficult situations where it's like, can't really be helped, and it is funny, but like the dog's at work and he can't be focused on the tennis balls, and we need to make sure that he's looking after the person he's trained to do. But
The guy was like, he is a crap guide dog, but
oh
we need to
really?
stop throwing the tennis balls for him, or like we need to stop rolling them on the floor. But it's not really relevant to what you were saying about people having to look a certain way in order to have a disability, but it is sort of relevant in like how normalized it was in that environment. We just,
Oh yeah.
yeah, everyone was just mucking in together, and we were like, dog.
Thing is, like, I have a friend who's blind and he just takes the mick all the time, doesn't take himself too seriously. Like, and I think when you're disabled, it is also important to have that. So I'm sure that person wouldn't have minded,
No.
especially if they're in a safe environment. Like, it's just one of those situations that occurs. Um, but my friend that is blind, Tobes, he literally just takes the mick constantly. And I remember when I first met up with him, because we became friends through socials, and I mean, I've got one foot now, but I had big feet, and I thought he couldn't see anything, and he went, "Oh my God, your feet are massive," and I was like, "How can you see that? You're literally blind." What? And then I learned that loads of blind, well, not as blind, people who are blind have different varying levels. So they're not necessarily
Mhm.
completely blind. So he can see like contrast of colours, for example. So my shoes against the carpet stood out. So he knew that I had a big foot.
He didn't turn around. He was like, I fucking tripped over them on the way in.
All that. Yeah, yeah, yeah. You never know. Sometimes his cane does hit my leg and like I can't feel it and he doesn't know what's going on. So it is quite funny to be around each other. But that's the thing, like each disabled person is so different. And even like amputees, everyone is so different. So I think going back to what we were saying about people assuming whether you're old and unfit or whatever, that's just so wrong. But also everyone's experiences are so individual that like you can't really judge anyone for the disability or think you understand what they're going through because we're all so different.
You don't really know where someone is with that journey. Like, if it's a
Mm.
fresh thing, it might be quite a sensitive topic. And if it's not such a fresh thing and you done a bit of work with yourself and like you know where you stand and you've got a routine and everything, it's different, then it's an easier topic. But I think when people are out in the wild, let's say, always come from a position of kindness. Like if I saw someone parking in a disabled spot, regardless of whether or not I thought they're disabled, I'm not going to get involved. You got your blue badge.
Yeah,
You get on with your day, my love.
I
Crack
know.
on.
They're so difficult to get. I'm just like, people are paid to give these out. You don't need to be doing it for free, my love. Like, you
And
don't.
they
And
people are tight about it as well.
oh yeah,
I when I first got my RA diagnosis, and I was like really struggling to do very basic things. Well, in my world, like very basic things like putting my seatbelt on, turning the key in my car, like all of that sort of stuff, was a problem for me. And I was having to use two hands to turn the key in my ignition, and even that hurt. And I remember talking to the NHS about it, and they were like, "No, sorry, don't qualify because you can still do it. You're not qualifying for it." And I was like, "Okay, fair enough." But you know,
yeah,
my husband, not that he's complaining me, he does have to get me undressed at night and dress me in the
yeah.
morning.
That's the. I find it like, this is one thing that winds me up, is that when you're applying for these things, people that don't understand your disability, might not even be disabled, are telling you whether you're worthy or not, and
Mm,
it's like you have absolutely no idea. And I think something that I always try and tell people is, if you're applying for a blue badge, whatever it might be, think about it on your worst day. Like those days when you literally, like for me, I cannot move, I cannot walk. For you, when you literally can't turn the ignition on in your car, you got to think about it from that perspective. Otherwise, they will just treat you like you're fine, even when you're not. So I
mm.
really like empathize with you on that, because that's just really awful to go through and then to be rejected, because it kind of invalidates your experience at the same time.
It was a really weird one because I remember it so vividly, like being on the phone and like this person asking me all these questions, and literally at some point like being in tears at the
Hmm.
realization that what she'd asked me I actually couldn't do anymore. And
Mm,
coming from like elite athlete kind of background, it was like a very like not humbling, but
it's
what's
like
the word I'm
it
looking
was
for?
a catalyst sort of moment, like the
Yeah, it was kind of
realization.
quite a shocking moment where I was like, "Oh my god, no, I actually can't." Um, and I hadn't
Yeah,
actually realized in my own head, like, how and she was like, "Oh, is that normal for you or whatever?" And I'm like, "No, I'm normally doing, like, 20K of mileage on the water and, like, lifting weights and working like, a job alongside this, and I can normally cut my own food properly with a knife and fork." And it was a really like bizarre experience. And as you said, like when they're like, "Oh no, sorry, not for you," it is like very destabilizing because you're like, "Oh my
mm,
God, have I made this up in my head? Or
yeah,
have I just have I not answered the question right? Like, do you wanna come and, like, struggle to watch me twist a tampon cover open and not actually be able to do that?" Like, I
yeah,
used to keep a knife in the bathroom so I could cut into the
yeah. Oh, bless you.
Because
That's tough too. Are you able to do that sort of stuff now?
yeah, I'm
That's
much
good.
more I'm much more on top of it, but it's been a huge, like, lifestyle adjustment and, like, trial and error and diet and doing a bit of therapy, which I was like really interested about your experiences with therapy.
Mm,
Um, and like it like I still get flares or like bad days, but it's much steadier at the moment. And also I'm like have been sort of like at the top of my own performance and like the absolute pits. And now I'm like, oh, I'm at like quite a happy medium sort of level now.
good.
It's
Yeah.
very sort of interesting. Everyone's experiences are so interesting. Everyone's stories are so different and like what their lives are like. One of the things I was going to ask you is about the comments that you got on, I think it was an Instagram question box you put out the other day.
Oh,
And it was something to
yes.
do about disability. And I remember reading it and then you being like, "Oh my God, the comments are wild. I'll share them at some point." And I was like,
I
"Share them
know.
now."
I know. I literally wrote it on my to-do list to share today on my phone. I'll share them now.
Oh yeah,
Um,
let's hear
as
some
in
of
to
it.
you. I'll share them on my story another time.
Yeah.
Hopefully today. But essentially, I put on my story and asked, if people who are wheelchair users or have short stature, or anything else like similar, I guess, in terms of being smaller in height. So that means somebody would have to lean down to you. Because for me, when I'm in my wheelchair, I don't really mind if people stand up next to me or they like lean over, but I can imagine that it'd be really condescending and patronizing. So I essentially put it on my story to ask what people thought. And it was really interesting because there were loads of mixed views on there. Let me just get it up. Oh my God, it's been 5 days since I uploaded it. Jeez. Okay, so some people said it sometimes really annoys me, and other times I see it as respectful. Someone
Okay.
else said that maybe they said they didn't like it, but maybe that's because they hadn't accepted the fact that they were in a wheelchair and newly disabled.
Okay.
Um, Basically, people thought it was patronising, condescending. It's quite overwhelming to look at all of them at once, if I'm honest. But
That's so fair.
totally depends on the situation. But more often than not, I hate it and find it very patronising. If it's a loud environment and they ask, it's absolutely fine. But aside from that, no, thank you. A lot of people said that they got trained to crouch down to be eye to eye level in the medical like
Okay.
education. But the people that experienced it, that commented, I'd actually say majority didn't like it.
Mm.
But the people that said it can be respectful as if they essentially asked
Mm.
what they preferred. And I think that's the overarching thing. It can be seen as patronizing, it can be seen as condescending, it can be seen as respectful. Every disabled person's perception is so different. But as long as you ask the person you're speaking to, that's the best way you could be respectful because you're not assuming and they'll feel heard and seen and validated. And a lot of people prefer if you either ask or just grab a chair and sit down next to them or
Mhm.
just stand. Because if you're leaning down, you're essentially changing your like body behavior because of someone else's disability, which could be seen as a bad thing. But what I found
Okay.
fascinating was the fact that I did another poll for a different photo example of someone leaning over. And I asked people to say whether they thought it was respectful or patronizing as a poll instead of a questions box. And
Okay.
a lot of able-bodied people responded to that when I should have prefaced it, but they weren't meant to respond to it. And it got like, I think like 90% respectful. And I was like, that's the whole problem. That's the point I'm trying to make. People who are able-bodied are assuming that it's respectful, but they don't know because they've never been on the receiving end of it. So you might think you're being respectful, but you're actually not. So the contrast of the two stories was interesting because when able-bodied people got involved, majority thought it was respectful. But when I asked disabled people only, like majority, I'd say about 70% said they didn't like it. And that's why
That's
I was
so
asking the question.
interesting. Because I saw it and I was really intrigued as to what the answer would be. Because as a tall girl, I'm like 6 foot. If I go into a bar, I often will adopt like the tall girl stance. I don't know.
Mm.
Have you seen like those TikToks where it's like me and my best friend, and you think we're the same height, and then it like pans out, and you've got like a 5 foot bestie, and the tall girl's got like a really wide stance. And
Is
this
it
is
to
like
like lower your height or something?
it's to lower my height, and also to like if you're in a party or a bar, like to make direct eye contact with whoever I'm talking to. And it's not something that I've ever like, it's not something that this is not to do with necessarily disability or anything like that. This is purely just, I noticed it specifically the other night because we went to a party, me and my family, and me and my sister at 6 foot, we were wearing heels, so 6'3" were the shortest members of our family. And we walked into this space and it was like hire a fucking crowd. Like we just automatically like took over the space, and it was quite interesting because like we then found a wall and would like lean on the wall to be a bit lower to like talk
That's
to
so
people.
fascinating.
And it's like as I'm not like the tallest girl I've ever met either, but when I am not around like the rowing community and I'm just sort of like in everyday life, I really feel the height. So I do things to like make myself shorter. And when I'm in like my sporting community, if you like, with rowing friends and such, and everyone's like the same kind of height, like don't notice it at all, and I don't do things to make myself shorter. But I
Yeah.
saw your poll and I was like, "Oh my God, well, hang on a minute, that's not quite relevant to what I'm doing," but, like, it was just
It's
so
similar.
interesting, and that was what I thought of. I was like, "Well, I do, like, not anti-tall girl stuff, but, like, I, like, will try and lower my height a little bit, and also to, like, hear people better." Like, if I'm talking to
Yeah, that's
someone
so true.
who's a little bit shorter than I am, or I'm in a bar and I like the music's going, I'm like trying to hear what someone's saying, I like move closer. But anyway, I just thought it was so
I wonder if it's like a
interesting.
subconscious thing, 'cause, like,
For me, yeah, I would just like
yeah.
do it like all of my growing up, I was always so much taller than everyone in like primary school and like
Mm.
secondary school. Felt like very tall and exposed a lot of the time, and like it was sort of thing where you never get ID'd because you're so tall, so people will assume that you don't need to be ID'd because you must be over 16 as you're 6 foot tall.
Yeah.
um and like, as I said, I am not the tallest woman I've ever met in my life. I know way taller women than me. But I just, yeah, that was my like, not that I had opinion on
Yes.
the disability thing, but I was like, oh my God, this is my life experience compared to the sort of situation that you're
It does
talking
apply.
about.
It's just in
It's
a similar
interesting.
it's similar but different, like, I completely am with you on that, and
Mm.
I'm 5'10", so
Oh,
I'm
yeah,
not
you're not
your
far
height,
off.
but I'm not far off, and I've always been really tall, and, like, when I was at uni on the lacrosse team, I would be the only girl that was in with the boys because I was high order, and so, like,
Mm,
I know what you mean, but I don't know. I've never really done that myself, but I don't know if it's because my mum like ingrained it into me since I literally basically came out the
mm.
womb that to try and be proud of my height and not shy away. So I think I went the other side and I
Yeah.
started wearing heels that made me like 6'2", and I'd shut around the place. I probably
I do that as
overcompensated.
well, but like in a in like, maybe it's where from where I'm from, there's quite a lot of short people, which
Oh,
is
is
no
there? So
bad
then it
thing.
really shows.
But so it really shows. Until I got into sport when I was about 16, it was a real, "Oh my God, I'm never gonna find a partner that's my height," sort of
Mm,
feeling. And then when I did get into sport, I was like, "Oh my God, there's so many tall boys. I'm gonna have a great time."
yeah.
And I started to like really own it a lot more, but it is in like specific social settings. I'll find somewhere to sit down, or I'll find like the edge of
Yeah.
the room to like make a bit of space or whatever.
Yeah.
So
I know what you
funny.
mean though. It's based on like society and
Mm,
like comparison is the thief of joy. And like when I'm around people who are a lot shorter and they ask for a photo, like or someone's taking a photo, I'm like, I literally look like the BFG. You were all like half my height. Um so it's like I do feel that too. Um
you're like, we'll be standing in a V formation. I'll be standing at the point of the V, and you'll all be
yeah.
closer to the camera.
That's so funny. But it's weird because like my friends from school, like when I went to a different sixth form, they are all actually quite tall. I am the tallest, but
Mm,
it's not as obvious. And I do think your environment does impact how you see yourself, and the other types of people around you. But it's so interesting because people always think I'm like 5'6". Like even the other day, my prosthetist was like, "I need to check your height for the leg. You're like 5'6", 5'6.5", and I was like, "I'm 5'10". So I don't understand. Maybe I do subconsciously like lower myself to try and be like similar to someone's height. I have no idea. But it's mad how we all adjust ourselves and our like bodily behaviors to
yeah,
fit
I
in or
guess.
to feel like we're being respectful and whatnot.
Yeah, I guess deep down we're all, I would say 90% of us are all just trying to get it right in some way, shape, or form.
Mm,
Like, maybe we've not thought about how we're getting it right, but we are trying to get it
we're
right.
trying.
We are,
Yeah.
like, deep down, everyone is trying to get it right. It may not always be right, but, like, the intention is there in some way.
I think not
But it's
everyone's like that, to be honest, but
no,
I
ninety
think
percent
majority.
10%.
Yeah. I've had, like,
Yeah.
people come up to me chasing me in the streets, and were like, excuse me," and I think I dropped something, and they're like, "What happened to your leg?" And I'm like, what's the intention there apart from you just being nosy?" Like, can't quite gather that one, but I feel like the majority of people are nice and trying to be respectful and care. but there are some odd ones.
That must be a London thing. That's like
Oh, yes.
that's like reason 110 for me not to be in London.
You know what? Very valid point. You are completely
I feel
correct.
like experiences like that, I've never had obviously an experience like that 'cause I that's not something that is like relevant to my situation, but
Yeah.
people coming up to you and just talking at you, that only seems to ever happen in like London.
It's weird.
Yeah.
People don't want to talk to
I'm
you on the
adding it
tube,
to
but
the
you're gonna
list.
chase me in the street to ask me how
Yeah.
I was about to say hurt my leg, how I lost my leg. Like, it's very backwards. I feel like my energy, to be fair, my dad is northern, but I feel like my energy is more of the people up north. And I'm like, I feel like that's where I'll feel at home. That's where I need to go.
That's right. That's my calling. That's my
It is,
calling.
it is.
Do you have a favorite moment of your journey so far?
A favourite moment. I wouldn't say like a particular moment. I think there's various things. I think when I think back to my accident and the fact that I was about to, like, I was going to get both of my legs amputated right at the top, and then I didn't. And then I only had one amputated. And then I think back to me being in hospital and I had to sit up for 2 minutes to get 2 minutes a day, by the way, to get blood circulating into my legs. And it was the most painful 2 minutes of my life. I was staring at the clock, just like desperate for the 2 minutes to end because I just wasn't used to blood going into my legs because I'd been bedbound for 8.5 weeks and had like 25 surgeries. So I think back to those moments and then the fact that I've now completed 2 marathons, multiple halves. I've climbed the world's steepest 400-meter race twice, becoming the first amputee to do it. And I think about how far I've come, and that collectively makes me really super happy and proud. But then also thinking about the first London Marathon that I did, because I've done London Marathon twice. They're the 2 marathons that I've done. For me, the whole thing was just, the first one was the most enjoyable thing because I do think when you do something for the first time, because it's new, your brain remembers it more. And so it was just so special because I was doing it with my boyfriend and a friend, and I've been sharing my journey online. So I had a load of people there supporting me, even people I didn't know. And it was just the most magical day because I pushed myself to do something I didn't think was possible. And I was there with loved ones, my family were there right at the end. And I just think the whole experience was something that I'll never forget. And that alone signified how far I've come. So, yeah, I think it's all about just doing things that I've never done before and doing it around
Mm.
loved ones, and that's what makes it feel special.
I've heard the London Marathon, like the vibe and like the not the community, but like
Yeah,
just the
yeah.
whole experience of it is really special and unique. I don't know if it's like because it's like a British thing or something. I don't really
Mm,
know. But I assume like other marathons in other major cities would be like really special as well. But I've seen other sort of influencers who've done it, who've like been like filming it because that's the only other way I would
yeah.
see someone else's experience of it. And like just all the people and like the cheering and the crowd. I think my sister's been to a London Marathon and she was like getting round to support her friend around the course was like doing the London Marathon itself because it was like
Oh, I
an
actually
Olympic
feel for the
sport.
people supporting. I'm not kidding. I'd rather run the marathon than support the marathon.
I think that's what she
Because,
said afterwards. She was like, nightmare.
yeah, like when you're running the marathon, you're having fun, you're doing something, you've trained for it. Like the day is actually the fun part. The hard part is the training, right? And so, and people are coming there to visit you and you're just doing your thing and you're about to get a medal and you're working hard. And then if you're supporting, it's like, I hate shopping and, just being on your feet and it's like, oh, when am I going to go home? you know, it kind of like, I can imagine it give that vibe. Um, and you're doing loads of steps anyway, so I'd way rather run it than not. But with
More
like different,
streamlined to run it.
yeah, yeah, absolutely. And with the different cities, obviously I've only done London, but I have done half marathons in other places, and the crowds, they. This is obviously generalizing from not every single one's going to be like this, but from my experience, it's like London, there is literally people at every point. And the difference between the first one and the second one, like there was even more supporters. It was just crazy. And I think running is just so popular now that it's just going to get bigger and better. But
Mm.
everyone like screams at you. Whereas in other countries that I've been to, there'll be loads of sections where there is nobody, and the sections that are where people are, they don't cheer for everyone. They just wait for the person that they want to cheer. So it's like the energy isn't as strong. And obviously London, you've got people like DJing and doing drum and bass and like choirs. And so it is a really big moment. I honestly think it's like London Fashion Week, just for running. I'm not kidding. It is.
So have you got a like a bucket list of events that you'd like to do?
I'd love to
Or
do
is
all the
that a
world majors, to be
spoiler?
honest.
All the world majors?
Yeah, I really want to. I'm taking a bit of a break from marathons at the moment because I'm trying to build up my strength because I have struggles when I walk, so I need to walk before I can run, literally.
Oh,
And so I think as of next year or the year after, I'll probably start introducing them again. But yeah, I want to do them all, and I'd love to do an Ironman at one point.
even when I was training full time, I was like, I don't like swimming, really. I could do a good doggy paddle. So I was like, that literally sounds like my idea of hell. Do you have a best fuck up that you are happy to share?
Um,
Because I know what we
I
talked about last time, so I don't know if you changed your mind.
No, the only one I can really think of is like it's a fuck up, but it's also I think it all depends on how you perceive it. Because when I did the Rebel 400, I was in an absolute tizzy because this incline, this race, 400 meters, steepest 400 meters race in the world. It's like a 78% incline, like it's you can't even run it. You have to crawl it. It's that high. And I was freaking out. First amputee ever attempting to do it and all of that. And I was just such a hot mess. And like, I was crying my eyes out, like hyperventilating like a baby for like 30 minutes before. And then I watched my boyfriend do it and he freaked me out even more because he could not speak. He was like gasping in the air. And I was just like, what the hell am I about to do? Like, he's so physically fit. Like, I can't believe I'm about to do this. So then I'm just crying my eyes out. I walk into a glass door. I break my blooming glasses. Like, I the race was about to start and I forgot my bib. So people were running around trying to get me things. And I was just there freaking out, desperately needing the toilet. And I was just like, I don't know what the hell to do, what way to turn. And I'm about to have to do this blooming race. Like everything that could go wrong was going wrong. And it's so interesting because I actually, upon reflection, we love hindsight, even though it was just a whole load of fuck ups back to back, I feel like it was meant to happen because I felt like the moment the race started, I could then focus on it. It was like everything that was happening before was so chaotic and just such a mess that it like channeled my energy into the race. So it's like I'd got out the fear and the stress before I went into it. And then I absolutely smashed it. So even though it was like everything was going wrong and it was all such a fuck up, I'm glad that it happened. So I've taken a good perspective from it.
Sometimes you do need like everything to go wrong beforehand, have that like, massive adrenaline spike, so you're actually like ready
Yeah.
to do what you're supposed to be doing.
Yeah,
So it's like
100%.
you're like doing was it hormonal priming where you're like med ball slam, but you're just like running into glass doors and like shocking yourself that way.
Yeah, we love it. I feel like that's what was meant to happen. I was so gutted that I broke my glasses though, I'm not gonna lie, but hey, it is what it is.
It's just one of those
And
things.
then I decided to go back 2 years later and do it again. But luckily it wasn't as chaotic the next time.
You're like, I've learnt my lesson. No glass doors, walking only.
Go to the toilet many, many hours before.
Many a time before. Very good. A Milly mantra or words to live by that you go back to again and again.
You know what? Yeah. The one that I've thought about for like 8 years. Wake up and chase your dreams instead of sleeping on them. Um,
Ooh.
Which I love. I absolutely love it. It's even on like my YouTube banner. Like there's a frame and that prompt's in there. But I don't know. I just find it like quite inspirational because I'm somebody that loves to sleep. I'm not going to lie. So when I
Same.
think about that, I'm like, I'm just literally sleeping on my dreams and I'm not chasing what I want to be chasing. And I think action, even when you're struggling mentally, if you just focus on what you can each day and take action and even dream about a better life or a better mentality and then getting up and seizing that, it just instantly turns my day around and makes me feel so much happier. So that's why I really like that one.
I've not heard that before. I really like it. One that I've got written at the top of my diary at the moment is Year of the Horse, giddy up or get off.
Oh, I love that.
Mm.
Giddy up. Oh, get
Giddy
off.
up or get off. That's one of my mantras from the past few weeks. So I like write a little mantra. I'm not coming up with them myself. Disclaimer, I am not like an endless bank of mantras,
I
but
feel like you do have some good ones though, from
I
our chit
do,
chats.
I seek them out a lot of the time, or
Yeah.
the algorithm pushes them in my general direction. But I think I back, oh my God, when was this? Back in like 2021, I think,
Mm.
or 2020. I was like doing some work with a sports psychologist because I was struggling a lot with like imposter syndrome. So thought I'd like master manipulated everyone into believing that I could do something that I absolutely couldn't. And I'm like
Yeah.
working with a sports psychologist, and I'm like, now I'm manipulating her. I'm that smart. I am like not in a malicious way, all in
No,
like
yeah,
a
yeah, yeah.
self-negative way. It's very stupid. I remember working with her, and she was like, we need to train like the subconscious. So every day you need to get up and you need to write down, you know, things that you're grateful for, or before you even go on your phone or anything like that. So you think about a positive thing that you're looking forward to for the day. And as I did that more and more, it kind of developed into finding like a little mantra for the week, for
Oh,
every week. So at the
nice.
top of the training diary for that week, it would say giddy up or get off, or it would say
Oh,
all
I love
sorts of
that.
stupid things. And or sometimes even like one-liners from Ab Fab. Have you ever watched Ab Fab?
No,
Absolutely Fabulous with Jennifer Saunders and Joanna Lumley.
I'm going to write that down.
Oh, you better. It's 90s comedy. It's awful but brilliant all at the same time. You must have seen some Ab Fab because it was a
Maybe, who
film.
knows? I'm
Anyway.
not really into. I don't watch loads of TV, to be fair.
Oh, fair
Like
enough.
only the past 3 years I started watching more because my boyfriend watches loads. But literally before that, I just never watched anything, so I wouldn't be surprised if I haven't. But I will be
Like,
soon.
yeah, give it a watch because there's some awful but brilliant one-liners in there, and it will just really make you giggle. And it's just
Okay.
so silly, but actually very like forward thinking. Like they're sort of
Mm.
making comments about like robots are going to take your job, blah 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 blah, and then it's like,
Are they
oh
even
my God,
right?
that's happening.
It's like The Simpsons predicted everything. Ab Fab did too.
Ab fab, sort of, maybe not quite so directly, but my final ones. Have you got any final takeaways? Anyone who's listened to this, is there anything you'd like them to take away from it specifically?
I think I want to do it for the disabled community because I feel like at the
Hmm.
moment there's so many things that I've been experiencing or seeing or people commenting and I just on my post, and I think it's really important that disabled people know, but not even actually just disabled people. This is to anyone that has something that physically limits them or mentally limits you. And it could be those narratives in your mind that you struggle with, saying that you're not good enough or that you're bad, and then that stops you from doing things, or like like I said, the physical disability stopping people from pushing themselves to do things that you literally don't need to be limited, and you can fully push yourself to do things, and it might look different every single day, and you might not even know every day what that might look like, but just constantly trying to do something for you and focus on those happiness moments and strive for something. It will make you feel so much better mentally, like massively. And I think that everybody deserves to live a life where they feel like they've done something that they never thought was possible, or just did something every day that they felt proud of. That literally could just be going outside on a walk. It could be that simple, but just doing something for you, um, and knowing that you deserve that. I think
Mm.
it's key.
I'm trying to think of something lovely to like round it off at the end. I can't. I think that's just get out
The
there.
mic drop moment.
Yeah, mic drop moment. My final question, which I think will be straightforward for you because a lot of people sometimes fumble what their soundtrack of the week is, but you are currently taking DJing lessons. Is that
Yes.
right? So
Yeah.
do you have a
Love music.
soundtrack of the week?
So, do you know what? It's not even of the week, it's of my life. And
Hmm.
it's Look Out by Skepta and Giggs. And I am a huge Giggs fan. I absolutely love his tone of voice. I think whenever I listen to him, I just feel like a bad bitch. And I like come out of therapy and I'll put him on and I just there, I'm like rapping in my car and I'm just like, I'm okay. I'm a strong, bad bitch that can cope with anything. And that's the vibe that it really gives me. But it's so funny because people always think that I'm like a Taylor Swift gal. And I'm like, nope, couldn't be more wrong. I love so many genres of music, but Gigs, that's my day one.
Had
Literally
your
popped out the
heart.
womb and Gigs had my heart. Sorry, Liam. That's my
Do
boyfriend.
you have a soz Liam. Do you have a like post therapy routine? Because I used to have one. Is it like putting on, we say, Gigs and then wrapping the car? Because mine
No.
used to be going to get a flat white and a sausage roll on the way home.
Oh, I love that. I love that. Whatever makes us happy, you know. But no, I
Yeah,
don't have a routine. It depends on each day, like, and what type of therapy I'm doing. And I sometimes feel like I need Gigs, and I'm just like, I'm a bad bitch and I can cope with this. Yeah. Sometimes I need to just like let my energy out, and I will blast out drum and bass. Sometimes I want Shrek soundtracks. Um, sometimes I want silence, and then so like I could go home, I could go and get some chocolate, like whatever I need that day, I would just listen to that,
yeah.
and tune in. But I like the idea of a coffee and a sausage roll, to be fair.
Well, I just, because it was on the way home, that just became like the routine. Like I'd leave, like turn the radio up to whatever was playing, not particularly bothered, and then I would go and
Mm.
get a sausage roll and a coffee and just sort of sit in the car and eat it and be like, yeah, that happened, and now we're just gonna go.
That's so funny.
Like
That's
that
nice though, I like
happened.
that. Self-care, to be honest.
It is self-care. Self-care and a sausage roll. That is
Yeah.
all of the podcast done. We have completed it. Um, Thank you so much for coming on.
No, thank
If
you.
people have listened to this and they want to find you and you want to be found, where can they find you?
So Instagram and TikTok, hopefully soon to be YouTube and a podcast, who knows?
Oh,
But it's at Milly with a Y, so Milly, and then Pickles like the food. And it's Pickles because people always spell it ELS. And
okay, okay.
it's Pickles, weirdly. I mean, that's how you spell
Pickles.
pickles, but you know, I don't know why it's not because Pickles instead of Pickles, but you know, I didn't make the rules up, so at Milly Pickles. That's what makes us unique. It's good to be different.
Absolutely. Well, thank you very, very much for coming on and giving me your time and letting me record your voice into this little box. And yeah, and hopefully speak to you soon.
Yeah, I've loved chatting with you. So thank you so much. It's been lovely to get to know you.
Yeah, and well, thank you for talking to me on my long day of not talking to anyone apart from the dog.
It's all good. I've got you always. Don't worry
You
about
got me.
it.
Thank you so much for listening to this episode. You can find us on Instagram. You can find us on TikTok. On Instagram, I think we are Only Dead Fish Podcast. We also do have a website where we are selling the Only Dead Fish tin fish t-shirt. That's a bit of a mouthful. So if you would like to buy one and support me, that would be absolutely fantastic. Speak again next week. Bye bye.